everyone. Welcome to our second last guest speaker session for today. Today we're going to be hearing from Dyce, who is a first-year PhD student at Robert Gordon University. She's working towards a PhD in communication, marketing and media. Before embarking on her PhD, she completed an undergraduate degree in international business management with honours, and she also did a master's in international marketing, both at RGU. So she's just stayed on, which is great. During her talk, she hopes to provide us, her audience, with an overview of her current research project, which is entitled Living Life Through the Lens, an exploration of why millennials and Generation Z share their dining experiences on Instagram and its growing influence on the hospitality industry. She's extremely passionate about the subject and hopes to continue to growing the body of research surrounding Instagram throughout her work. So without further ado, we will show Vegas's talk, and I hope you enjoy.
Hello everyone, and thank you for joining me for this guest talk today. My name is Dyce, and I'm in my first year of PhD studies at Robert Gordon University. I'm delighted to speak to you all at today's conference, and during my presentation, I hope to give you an overview of my current research area, which centres on Foodstagramming and restaurant aesthetics. Throughout my discussion today, I'll be covering the following areas. Firstly, I will tell you a little bit about myself and my research area. I will then give you a brief overview of my master's research before moving on to talk about my current PhD research and how this relates to my previous study. I will then conclude with a brief summary and some key points to take away from our discussion today. So before I get started, let me tell you a little bit about myself. I'm a first-year PhD student at the School of Creative and Cultural Business, working towards a PhD in Communication, Marketing and Media. Prior to starting my PhD, I completed both my undergraduate and master's studies at RGU, graduating in June 2020 with a BA Honours in International Business Management and in December 2021 with a Master's in International Marketing. Whilst writing my master's dissertation, I began thinking about pursuing a PhD as I really enjoyed my topic and felt I could expand on this research. As someone who is really passionate about learning, the opportunity to pursue individual research while becoming an expert in my field and sharing that knowledge with others really excited me. Therefore, I decided to apply for my PhD and was delighted when I was accepted to begin the programme in February this year. Although I'm still in the very early stages of my research, over the next 3 years, I hope to contribute to the growing body of research surrounding Instagram and generate my own discoveries and perspectives. Aside from researching the fascinating world of Instagram, I work as a part-time customer assistant and freelance public relations coordinator, which I thoroughly enjoy. So my research, what's it all about? As you can see, much of my research is centred around Instagramming, Foodstagramming, aesthetics and Instagrammability, all in the context of the hospitality industry. With regards to the hospitality industry, my research looks specifically at restaurants, cafes, bars and other businesses that serve food or beverages. So as I've already mentioned, gaining a master's has given me a more in-depth understanding of my specialty and career focus, encouraging me to pursue a PhD. I have a particular interest in consumer psychology, and it was this topic I chose for my master's dissertation, which I will now share with you. So this study looked at why millennials and Generation Z post food pictures on Instagram and the impact this is having on the hospitality industry. Firstly, I'd like to share a little bit of background on the topic, just to give you a better understanding of why I chose this subject area for my research. So food is essential. It is humans' primary source of life energy. However, while evident that the human body needs food and water to function, it appears that in today's social media obsessed environment, documenting food appears to be as much of a lifeline as eating itself. Food is no longer simply a means of energy, but a way to connect with others, and this has become more relevant than ever, giving rise to one of the most peculiar trends of the 21st century, the Foodstagramming phenomenon, occurring when diners share their food via social media, Instagram in particular. So it's seemingly impossible for today's consumers to use Instagram without descending into the profusion of food content, making food one of the most photographed subjects on the photo sharing platform. Taking pictures of food, previously a particularly niche pursuit, has for some become as routine as eating itself. With over 480 million Instagram posts alongside the hashtag food, it appears that today's consumers cannot eat without Instagramming, at least part of their dining experience. And this technology-mediated phenomenon is particularly prominent amongst younger age groups. In fact, for many of today's younger generation, a key element of dining out is taking a photo of their meal and posting it on Instagram. It has become a ritualistic act that is performed predominantly by millennials and Generation Z consumers. The topic in question is, why do these consumers post pictures on Instagram? And what impact is this having on the hospitality industry? So moving on, the overall aim of my research was to analyse critically the motivating factors that influence millennial and Generation Z consumers to post food pictures on Instagram. While research has been conducted around the topics of Instagram and food, there has been no extensive research carried out to understand why consumers post pictures on Instagram. Therefore, through my research, I attempted to fill this gap in addition to providing the hospitality industry with information surrounding the impact of this Instagramming food trend. So to meet the aim of my research, the following 4 objectives were set. The first objective was to identify the motivating factors that drive millennial and Generation Z consumers to post food pictures on Instagram. Sorry, to post pictures in general on Instagram. Secondly, I wish to explore critically the importance of aesthetically pleasing food and restaurant settings to the millennial and Generation Z Instagrammer. The third objective was to evaluate critically how millennial and Generation Z consumers engage with food pictures on Instagram and how this affects what they purchase. Lastly, the final objective was to identify how the hospitality industry can benefit from the Instagrammable food trend to engage with millennial and Generation Z consumers effectively. So in the early stages of my research, I carried out a comprehensive literature review in order to critically evaluate theories relating to self-identity and motivation within the context of Instagram and food. Based on this review of existing literature, I then proposed an appropriate research methodology. And given the exploratory and highly subjective nature of this consumer behaviour study, I conducted a number of interviews with individuals who fell within the millennial and Generation Z age bracket and who participate in this Foodstagramming phenomenon in order to gain deeper insights into consumers' motivations for posting food pictures on Instagram. So in recent years, the way people eat has changed significantly and people's eating habits have been profoundly affected by Instagram. The findings of this study substantiate the notion that millennials and Generation Z are leading this change. In today's world, consumers seek to interact both with the digital and physical world at the same time. By sharing one's food on social media, they are inviting others to share their experience. The findings of this study confirm that the visual influence and Insta-worthiness of meals is turning into the new way for consumers to frame their satisfaction. Aesthetically pleasing food and restaurant settings are important to both millennials and Generation Z, with many individuals now prioritizing Instagrammable designs and experiences over the quality of food. While it is evident that there are various motivating factors that influence millennial and Generation Z consumers to post food pictures on Instagram, it was ultimately revealed that photographing food before eating has become second nature for these individuals. Without this photographic evidence, it is as if the dining experience did not take place. Furthermore, the impulse for consumers to take photos of food comes from their need to present their self-identity and document their life to others. Evidently, the effects of this Foodstagramming trend are profound for any business in the hospitality industry, and Instagrammable dishes are becoming an increasingly popular way for brands to engage with younger audiences and acquire new customers. So throughout my master's research, I developed a keen interest in gathering and analysing data that could be used to enhance the marketing strategies of hospitality businesses. I am excited about expanding on this research and exploring this topic further now that I've started my PhD programme. Having given you an overview of my master's research, let me now introduce you to my current PhD research. So the working title for my research is Living Life Through the Lens, an exploration of why millennials and Generation Z share their dining experiences on Instagram and its growing influence on the hospitality industry. So to begin with, let me provide the background and rationale behind my study. As we have already established, food has become an integral part of social media in recent years. The trend of Foodstagramming, in which diners post photos of their meals on social media, has become universal, and Instagram has grown significantly as a platform for sharing food photos, which has greatly influenced today's food and drink culture. As a leading platform for food photography, Instagram drives consumer demand for aesthetically pleasing food, drink, and visually appealing settings. For many consumers, one of the most important aspects of dining out is taking a photo of their meal and sharing it on Instagram. This form of photo-taking behaviour has become part of a ritualistic practice performed predominantly by millennials and Generation Z. Whilst the Foodstagramming trend is largely centred on consumers posting photos of food, the focus is shifting towards capturing things beyond one's dish, with restaurateurs making serious efforts to design their interior to be as Instagram-worthy as possible. The new dining experience goes beyond good quality food and service. Every aspect of the dining experience must now be shareable. The hospitality industry has noticed this trend, resulting in a new surge of Instagrammable restaurants opening around the world. Every aspect of these restaurants must be carefully created with the sole purpose of attracting Instagram users to take and post photos on Instagram. This shift towards aesthetics, coupled with increased competition in the hospitality industry, makes this a viable area for further research. This Foodstagramming trend is not only affecting restaurants. Bars, hotels, and other businesses that serve food or beverages are now embracing this. Instagram serves as more than just a social platform to these businesses. It is a powerful marketing tool that offers extreme levels of exposure. Recent research highlights millennials and Generation Z are the biggest users of Instagram, making them an appropriate choice for this study. Furthermore, these generations are the most powerful consumers in terms of spending power, forcing businesses to adapt to their changing habits. According to a study by UK restaurant chain T.H.E, millennials spend at least 5 days per year looking through food photos on Instagram. As a result, 30% are unlikely to dine at restaurants with weak Instagram presences. Consequently, if restaurants fail to engage with this trend moving forward, it is likely to negatively impact their business. And as I have already highlighted, my master's dissertation really provided the idea for my PhD research. While my PhD research draws attention to very similar themes and ideas for my master's project, the aim is to expand on this knowledge and examine why millennial and Generation Z consumers share their dining experiences on Instagram. Rather than focusing exclusively on food, my PhD research wishes to go beyond this by looking at why consumers post photos or videos of an eatery's interior and overall setting, and how this is shaping new trends within the hospitality industry. My previous study validated that millennials and Generation Z are indeed the most suitable audience to explore this Instagramming trend, providing reason to explore this topic further from the perspective of these individuals. Although research has been conducted on Instagram, food, and the hospitality industry, no investigation has attempted to understand why millennials and Generation Z share their dining experiences on Instagram. Therefore, my research aims to fill this gap in literature and provide hospitality professionals with information surrounding this trend to help them survive in a competitive post-COVID environment. As a context for my study, I've chosen to focus on Scotland. My preliminary research indicates that there are fewer Instagrammable venues in Scotland compared to other destinations in the UK, with cities such as London and Manchester already having a lot of well-established Instagrammable restaurants and bars. Furthermore, Scottish hospitality businesses have been extremely hard hit by the pandemic, as they have been subjected to one of the toughest lockdown restrictions across the UK, causing Scotland's hospitality industry to crumble. This makes Scotland's hospitality sector worthy of exploration and has exacerbated the need for businesses to have a strong online presence and community. So the impact of COVID further rationalizes this need for this study. Throughout the pandemic, hospitality has been one of the most affected sectors by lockdowns and government restrictions. Businesses have been forced to adapt in order to survive the devastating impact of the pandemic and nationwide lockdowns. Social media marketing has gained significant traction with its surge and resilience during COVID. And as restrictions continue to ease, it is more important than ever for hospitality businesses to have a strong online presence and promote their business on Instagram. Flexibility, open-mindedness, and innovation are crucial in the post-COVID era, and it is vital for hospitality professionals to keep up with this Foodstagramming trend to stay relevant and attract consumers. So having now shared the background and rationale for this study, I would now like to provide you with its overall purpose and objectives. So the aim of this research is to explore critically the motivating factors that influence Millennial and Generation Z consumers to share their dining experiences on Instagram. To achieve this aim, the following 6 objectives have been set. Objective 1, to evaluate the motivations of Millennials and Generation Z to use Instagram. Objective 2, to examine the role of aesthetics in determining Millennial and Generation Z consumers' likelihood to share their dining experiences on Instagram. Objective 3, to analyse critically how Millennial and Generation Z consumers interact with hospitality businesses on Instagram and how this influences their dining choices and purchasing decisions. Objective 4, to explore critically whether Millennial and Generation Z consumers enhance or detract their overall dining experience by sharing it on Instagram. Objective 5, to understand the hospitality industry's perspective on the Foodstagramming phenomenon and whether they find it to be important. And lastly, Objective 6, to provide best practice recommendations for the hospitality industry in Scotland to better engage with Millennial and Generation Z consumers on Instagram. So, sorry, I forgot to move on to that slide there. So there are a number of key authors and sources that have contributed to identifying my research topic. Although their work spans over a variety of decades, these authors have made significant contributions to the fields of consumer psychology and consumer behaviour. As part of my attempt to fully understand why Millennials and Generation Z share their dining experiences on Instagram, I have started to carry out a psychology-based literature review. I have explored topics relating to self-identity, motivation, aesthetics, and atmospherics, all within the context of Instagram and dining experiences. Following a review of suitable literature, it is evident there are significant gaps in knowledge. It can be comprehended that this is largely due to the topics being relatively new to the research field. Irrespective of present literature contributing to answer the research objectives, there is limited information on why consumers share their dining experiences on Instagram. As such, the topic remains relatively unexplored and a void is identified where research on the phenomenon is lacking. Therefore, the following research questions have evolved. Research question 1. What are the main factors that influence individuals to share their dining experiences on Instagram? Research question 2. Why are certain restaurants deemed Instagrammable, and do individuals respond differently to this word? Research question 3. In what way does age affect how likely people are to visit Instagrammable restaurants and share their dining experiences on Instagram? And lastly, research question 4. How is Instagram adding to or taking away from the overall dining experience of Millennial and Generation Z consumers? Here I have displayed my proposed research methods and how I intend to collect my data. I will again conduct interviews as I did for my master's study. Interviews will be carried out with individuals from Millennial and Generation Z age groups who share their dining experiences on Instagram. I also plan to interview industry insiders, so individuals who work within a hospitality environment and who perhaps witness consumers engaging in this Foodstagramming phenomenon on a daily basis. Whether this be restaurant owners or waiting staff, I hope this will allow me to explore deeper into the Foodstagramming phenomenon and how this is impacting the hospitality industry. So through my research, I hope to make an original contribution to consumer psychology by producing original content that stands alongside previous works in the fields of Instagram, food and hospitality. Through this contribution, I aim to provide more insight into underappreciated topics such as Foodstagramming by opening up new avenues for research. In addition to filling a gap in academic knowledge, the study will also deal with issues beyond academia, such as marketing and advertising. It is evident that Instagram is essential to the hospitality industry, as it serves both as a platform for marketing and targeted advertising. Therefore, research into individuals' interactions and behaviours whilst on this platform will benefit the hospitality industry and allow them to communicate with and target audiences more successfully. Furthermore, research in this area will hopefully allow professionals and academics to better understand consumer behaviour in the context of Instagram and dining experiences through the building of a theory on this Foodstagramming phenomenon. With increasing competition in the hospitality industry, this research also serves to guide and assist businesses in ensuring competitiveness and profitability. The coronavirus pandemic and its damaging impact on the hospitality industry make my research meaningful, relevant and original, and hopefully the study will assist businesses in bouncing back from this difficult period. So, before closing this presentation, I would like to summarise a few key points. We've established that Instagram has grown significantly as a platform for sharing food photos, which has greatly influenced today's food and drink culture. We live in an Instagrammable world obsessed with Foodstagramming. The mere physical act of eating is now a means of displaying self-image and status to the world. The pandemic has exacerbated the need for businesses to have an online presence, and now, more than ever before, businesses must compete to exist in a post-COVID world. I have provided a list of references should you wish to examine any of the sources used to support this presentation. So that brings us to the end of my presentation today. Thank you for listening, and I would love to hear any feedback that you have on my research. If you have any questions or would like to discuss my research further, feel free to contact me at the below email address. Also, I am always on the lookout for potential interviewees, so if this is something that interests you and you'd be comfortable with me interviewing you as part of my PhD research, then please let me know. Thank you again.
So that is the end of Vegas's session. Obviously a big thank you to her again for recording such an interesting and relevant guest session for us to watch. I don't know about you, but all the food pictures made me really hungry. Please get in touch with Vegas if you are interested in getting interviewed for her research, or if you just want to ask her questions about her session today. And then our final session is with Edward Pollock. So this will be live at 3:30. He's the Innovation Manager for the Entrepreneur and Innovation Group at RGU. And his talk title is 2023 and Beyond, Uncovering the Innovations Shaping Your Tomorrow. So that will be in 5 minutes. Feel free to go and get a little break. And thank you for attending.